Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Married at First Sight Australia, Season 10, Episode 35, or Part 1 of the reunions, Chris. Now, Chris, where would you like to start today?
Well, Dave, let's just go behind the curtain. I actually pitched to you, should we wrap both the reunion and the final meet up with the experts in one episode? And then the feedback was, this was a doozy of an episode. And we were like, we're going to have to do 2 episodes, put the final stop on. So here we are, we're doing both episodes. We have to. But having watched it, was like, we have to talk. And you were dying to talk. But unfortunately, football got in the way, Dave. And United have just been beaten. So we could have done it while the football was on. It was that much of a performance. So let's not talk football. Anyway, so
no
Dave,
arguments from me, to be honest.
Well, let's get the lovey-dovey stuff out of the way, Dave. Melinda and Leighton, very surprised by that. They are well and truly in love together. That was a surprise.
Yeah, I was totally not backed by it as well. I think I was fully expecting, right, that all of the problems that they talked about and the fact that all of the issues seem to be laid at Leighton's feet, and Melinda took no accountability for anything. And even, the experts are saying, well, he's basically Mr. Spock in it. He's just all logical and he's got no emotions. And so I just thought, well, that's creating an imbalance. It's not sustainable for the long term. But I guess, still not long term, I guess, is it? It's only like, couple of months after, is it the final commitment ceremony and that? So, or final vows they call it, don't they? So yeah, but I was surprised, and they did look like genuinely well into each other, didn't they? I mean, I think I wouldn't be surprised if the 4-letter word's been uttered by now.
You're a see you next Tuesday. I know that's 3. That's 3. But anyway, yeah.
Just see you next Tuesday. Yeah.
See you next Tuesday. Yeah, that's the one, Dave. No, very surprised. Mitani and Ollie, again, they have not changed 2 months down the line. They're absolutely in love. Got to say, Dave, I did quite like some of Ollie's interactions at the dinner party. We'll talk about that. So I did think he was quite comical what he did. There's a good impression of John. They're happy.
I thought that was brilliant, to be fair. Yeah. He's grown into the series, hasn't he? I think he's been quite, in his shell, but he's definitely come out of that. And, he is quite witty. He's made some good comments. So, yeah, I definitely appreciated the John impression.
Oh, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But I think one of the ones where there was just a little bit of a breadcrumb. We got Melissa, Dave. She's open, single, ready to mingle. Okay, just whatever.
Single.
I'm back.
Shocker.
Mama Bear is back. No, Mama Bear should have been pulled by the experts and got away lightly for the way she treated Josh. So she shouldn't have even had any airtime in my eyes, Dave. There was a few people who didn't get any airtime, and she was one of them. And she shouldn't have even had any VT and anyway, fucking Desperado wasn't even in it for her. But let's start, Dave, with Cam and Lyndall. So the whole episode really realistically centered around, Cam and Lyndall. Lyndall talking to the camera. She's talking about Cam. And, she's saying, I've heard that he's been sexting. Now, I'll be honest with you, Dave. I caught that article by mistake when we were halfway through the series. I'm looking for footnote pictures or whatever for the podcast, and it just come up about this sexting thing. So I thought, I'm not reading it, but it was like a headline. And Cam, the fucking weasel again, has done himself no favors. Absolute liar. Lyndall, she's convinced now that he was doing this when they was together. It made sense when Taylor came into the experiment from the same sort of area, both country folk. She'd even said about liking him with Josh. We saw that VT again. Cam is despicable. And I don't like Cam, Dave. I've got to be honest with you. There is an ulterior motive. He looks like one of my ex-brother-in-laws, and he's a fucking cock as well, Dave. So he absolutely looks like him. And every time I see him, I'm like, you don't have to remind me of that fucking bell end. And I mean, Sam just can't unlike it now, unsee it on his face. So not only he's a wanker, he reminds me of another wanker who used to be in my life. But anyway, but yeah, so Cam, he's just a fucking weasel, isn't he? And again, There's sort of an argument, Dave, of once the show is gone, what's it got to do with everyone else? But we all know, and it's pretty obvious that Cam was doing this, and I'm only surmising what we've seen. Cam was definitely messing Taylor, and he's like, oh, we're just good friends. Fuck off.
It's funny you use the word weasel, because I was thinking cat weasel. That's what he was reminding me of. But yeah, I think the problem is it's just the relentless lying, and he gets caught with it, doesn't he? So, it's from it's nothing at all, mate, and it's none of anyone's business at all. To yeah, well, of course I was stark bollock naked in the middle of a club, but loads of people saw me. So what's your problem? So it's like, it's just utter bullshit coming out of his mouth, and unfortunately. Again, Lyndall is, clearly still smarting a little bit. Now, I was trying to be balanced when I was looking at this, because he's obviously sore about the roasting she gave him at the final commitment ceremony, the final vows. He's not gotten over that, but he's fucking bitter and horrible back, isn't he? He's like, I was checked out on day one, mate. Oh, you're a fucking cock. So I think Lyndall's right. I think, she's had this kind of intuition all the way through, and he's been flaky as fuck in everything that he's said. And, this whole, we could see it, couldn't we, in the little snippets, that he's saying, I'm just not that affectionate. Oh, Taylor, come over here. Let me give you a consoling cuddle there when you're being a total knobhead. So, yeah, it all does fit together for me. And he was checked out. Because if you think, like week one, we were thinking, actually, these two look pretty good. Looks like it could go the distance, this one. And then, he did sort of change. And so, yeah, I think he's full of shit. And for the preview or for tomorrow, I mean, it kind of looks like Taylor's going to spill the beans on something.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm assuming that it's going to be that there was more, because the pair of them don't have their stories straight, and like I say, under a little bit of questioning, it's all sort of coming out. And so, yeah, I think, Chris, they're both a couple of bellends. They fucking deserve each other.
Yeah, I do. Just ride off into the sunset. It was the way he ignored Lyndall as well. It's like, it's not good that. It's just like, have a bit of class. She's not done anything to you. He's treating her as if she's the one who's cheated on him. And it's like, she's been nothing but respectful. You've just been a complete knobhead. From about halfway through the experiment, he's just a dick. So, yeah, let him go with fucking Taylor. Taylor was a disgrace at the table, wasn't she, Dave? Fucking, I would. Just stoking it. I joke. It's like, he's just being horrible. She's a horrible person. I'm not being funny, Dave, as well. Who the fuck put a fucking makeup on, fucking clown? Fucking terrible. I'm not being fingy, but she's despicable. Another pair of cocks.
I did post a GIF in the chat, because it just reminds me, on an airplane where they're hitting major turbulence and the woman's trying to put her makeup on. Honestly, Chris, remember when we covered The Circle? And then they rooted some guy out because he was a catfish. He was pretending he was a girl, and they were like, yeah, there's no way. They had to do this test where they made up a mannequin or like doll's head kind of thing, and people are like, yeah, that person has never put makeup on. I don't know what it is about Taylor, but fucking hell, it does look like, she's 8 years old and just trying on makeup on for her mum's makeup on for the first time. So I probably wouldn't even go there if she wasn't just such an outlandish fucking knob. And like I say, I just feel like the two of them deserve each other. I do want to know, Chris, what's actually happened. And just talking about like the little preamble we had, before the show and everything, I kind of liked your logic. It was like, yeah, we'll just do the one episode. But then I was thinking, well, every episode that we've covered, every reunion episode has been fairly explosive.
Yeah.
So I thought, Yeah, let's have a watch of it, and then we'll make a judgment call then. And it's like, as soon as I'd finished it, it's like, oh, fucking hell, we've got to speak to Chris.
Me too, Dave. We're pairing bellends, aren't we? But we haven't done enough over the last few months. But no, I agree. I just thought it was done sourly, and let's see how the experts go with this. And I will say, Dave, because I think what was quite important was. And Paul, when you had your little beef with Paul on Twitter, with the UK one, I genuinely think that, again, it's reared its ugly head. They have to have some sort of knowledge of what's going on off the dinner parties, off the commitment ceremonies, because some of the fucking comments they're making here, it is true, they don't see it, but they're sort of rooting for the wrong people at times, aren't they? They did it with Matt in the UK one. It's like Matt was just an absolute bellend. And some of the comments were like, no, you're backing the wrong horses. He was just not a good guy. And they were like, oh, I feel sorry for him. And that really said a little bit.
Who?
For Matt, they were talking about Matt when they were on the UK
right,
ones. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, because they don't see how he was treating Gemma and stuff. It was sort of like Gemma was being too intense. And it was like, no, fucking Matt's just fucking absolute flaky as fuck, just horrible, doesn't want to be with you. He wants to be with Whitney, didn't he, and all that. So, yeah, this has come again, Dave. I mean, one of the funniest bits of the episode, before we get to this, was Bronte and Harrison. You know, I mean, Bronte's there, you know, Oscar performance again, you know, like, oh, it's been great not speaking to him and all this. Like, okay, Bronte. But then Harrison brings the receipts, Dave. The fucking receipts. He's got like, it looked like he's dockered at two corners of the fucking paper.
What the fuck was that all about? How did that happen?
It was fucking brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. But then you've got this thing. He's going to reveal everything. He's got like what she'd said, hadn't she? Like we've seen some stuff. We've heard voicemails. She was in it for the clicks. He was in it for that. I mean, he came in, Dave. He looked like he'd been taking his vitamins. His fucking shoulders booked a lot wider. He was fucking pumped up and everything. But when he started saying it, the whole group had enough. And as much as I was calling Cam, and someone commented on our Facebook group chat thing, Dave, but when Cam threw the fucking airplane, I was pissing myself. It was funny.
I think it was almost like the boy who cried wolf, wasn't it? Because you know, if he wasn't such a fucking massive knob, then maybe people would have been like, oh wow, you know, this had all happened before, but it's just like, fuck off, Harrison, we don't fucking care. And I thought it was brilliant. And like you say, when Cam actually did the paper aeroplane, I did appreciate that, because that was like the final emasculation of Harrison, wasn't it? He just wasn't happy at all. That was gold.
I thought he was going to come with the full receipts on Bronte about the lies staying together, like we saw when we did the first Aussie one, you know, a couple of seasons ago, when we had the Viking guy with that girl, and she'd already said to him, let's stay together for another 2 weeks. They were an intruder couple, weren't they? And I thought that's what was going to happen. We were going to get like, well, she's been telling me for weeks she don't want to be with me, but she wants to stay on the show. We didn't get anything. It was absolute damp squib. I was like, Harrison, this is your moment to shine, my friend. So, and you know what's really interesting, Dave? We're obviously at the end of this now, but with the UK versions, what's really funny is they're like obviously a few weeks behind. And I'm seeing comments this week, people going, oh, Harrison, I sort of warmed to some of his comments. I think it was when he called out Adam or whoever, you know, like what, at that point. And there was a few, and I'm thinking, just you wait, people, just you wait. But yeah, he got his comeuppance in some respects. I didn't care for either of them, as we know. But Dave, I know it's very difficult to keep my gob shut on this one, but Alyssa and Duncan, I want your evaluation of this whole scenario on this episode.
I mean, it's just, it's so infuriating, isn't it? But also just so predictable. Because had you just flown in and seen none of the context of their relationship, or if it was like real life, you know, and you were just seeing Duncan and Alyssa's interaction at the you know, in the restaurant and public space, you would probably, and I'm kind of checking myself here, I would probably instantly go to the place of, well, he's probably fucked her around, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That is probably where I would go to and what I would think. But you're like, your reality is just messed up. And actually, again, I feel like Duncan could not have handled that any better. I don't think there was anything he could have said that would have made the situation better. She's saying she's been absolutely petulant. She's saying she doesn't have a clue. He never gave her an inkling at all that there was anything up. And we saw them arguing over various things. The last fucking date was horrendous. She ends up storming off. She leaves him in fucking tears that one day. And, they're completely blindsided. And I gave you everything. If you consider everything is, every other Wednesday and every other Saturday or something, whatever it was. And so I'm pulling my hair out and I'm just thinking, fucking hell, can no one call her out? Because you could see there were a few shots of Lyndall and, she was like pulling the faces like, yeah, it's not what happened, mate. But no one really called her out on it. And maybe you just can't. Maybe you just know when you just need her to tire herself out, I guess, grieve that relationship that she thought she had in her head, but absolutely sabotaged. I think in the first couple of weeks, probably even more, I thought there was real potential there. But then she absolutely sabotaged it from there. But as far as she's concerned, Duncan is the devil incarnate now. I'm just like, yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, how about you, Chris?
Yeah, and that was very well put, David, actually, I've got to say. Very well put. This is what I was alluding to before. Mel, at one point when Alyssa went, was like, I feel really sorry for her. It's like, no, you can't feel sorry for her. There's been some really bad people on this show. So you've had Harrison, Shannon, Dan, who have absolutely been terrible. Taylor was terrible to Josh. Melissa was bad. Taylor was bad to, not what's he called, Josh? What's his name? Was it
Taylor,
Hugo,
yeah.
Hugo. Melissa was bad with Josh, and Alyssa's been bad with Duncan. And it was all about saving face again. She's got this narrative going on in her head. She's like, oh, I've heard he's been going around town clubbing it up. It's like, well, he's not with you, so what does that matter? He was, they already said to you, the experts, he was the most emotionally experienced man on the show. He was there. He was offering everything. Weird friends were saying stuff to him, and he was like, "That's fine." Yeah. Oh, so you're happy with a child coming first? Well, yeah, because it's a child. Oh, really? Yeah. And it's like she's got all these people around her, and her reactions are just so wrong. And I just cannot. I'm really pissed off with the experts again. I know they're watching this, but I know they're not going to have a go at her at all. She's going to say, I've got a child, start crying, and she's gone. And it was all this, I'm not letting him frame the narrative. She's talking about the show. She's actually breaking the fourth wall there. She's like, I'm not letting him have the last laugh. But he's not Harrison. He's not Dan. He's a normal guy just sat there. And in some respects, he's gone into his shell a bit like Josh, who just couldn't get a word in with Melissa. He just looked absolutely browbeaten. And it's like, what are you going for here? She's just emotionally unstable, and her idea of everything is wrong, and someone has got to hold her to task because she deserves an absolute, she needs a proper moment where someone intervenes and tells her how it is, because she obviously never had that in her life. And it was just infuriating me, Dave, because I was watching it thinking, poor Duncan's just getting thrown again. And none of the girls, as you said, say anything to her. Any of her friend, I'm not saying that it shouldn't just be the girls, the guys could, but it's a different thing when a guy interjects. Yeah. But none of her friends, none of them, they all look around. Evelyn, when we showed the replay of the last one, she started having a go at him, was like, don't know what, but Evelyn's so outspoken, don't say a word to her. And because of that, her behaviour, she thinks she's got the backing of all the people in the room, and I don't think anybody in the room has got her back, because for me, she's just completely wrong.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if anyone actually does call her out. Now, I think it might have been Chloe who said on the Facebook group that, you can see why the experts wouldn't call her out, because she just wouldn't react well to that at all. Yeah. So nothing would get through. I agree with that. So, the kid gloves need to be out. But I'm like, but what is the answer then? Because at some point, if you're trying to solve the riddle of how do you actually hold that mirror up and say, this is your behavior, this is how it looks, to everyone else. And maybe just watching the series back will be that, because clearly not, in the time from the experiment to the reunion, that hasn't helped. Time is not a great healer in that respect.
Yeah.
But, maybe seeing herself, but, all the shit that I've heard since is like, well, it's a bad edit and Duncan's not that great, is he? It's like, look, fucking hell. You can say maybe a few percent one way or the other, depending on how they edit. They can make you look good or bad. But I think, it's pretty fucking nailed on, really, isn't it? How it's all come across. And again, I can't disagree with anything you've said there. But the point I was making about Chloe's message, I hope that John or someone actually, does call her out on it and at least gives her the chance to reflect on that and then grow from it. Because, again, they're all fucking Bertie Big Bollocks, aren't they, when it's the three of them and they're all discussing. I mean, they're like, have you watched The Final Vows? Nah, couldn't be arsed, mate. Just watching this. Oh, they don't seem to be together. Oh, fucking hell. Well, getting paid lots for this. So, yeah, they don't seem to have much of a clue as to what's going on. But, John did say, if you, it might have been Alessandra, actually, saying, if you're just blaming everyone else for everything, you don't get a chance to grow. And I think that's where Alyssa is. She's just quite happy to, demonize Duncan. Everything was his fault. I gave him everything. I gave up my child for you. I think was one of the things. It's like, well, fucking hell, he'd come into it somewhere, wouldn't he? That child of hers. But she didn't. You know what I mean? All right, she came in the experiment. Duncan didn't make her do that. You know what I mean? So it's just, lost fucking plot.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just ridiculous. I'd like to say, let's see, because I might be doing a disservice to the experts. But even, I hope Alyssa watches it and go, oh my God. Like you say, there's only so far a bad edit goes. Behaviour. The only thing that would rationale the way she is, Dave, is if Duncan was an absolute narcissistical blackguard who was doing a little bit. He wasn't as bad, I know that, but Richie with our friend Lara, Dave, when she said, like, when we spoke, I know we didn't get his side of the story, and it's only one side, but she said, like, he would turn it on for the cameras going for his Hollyoaks fucking show that he was after, Dave, but he wasn't the same person when they were off camera. So that's the only rational thing I could think. But either way, from what we've seen, and that's all we can judge it on, she was completely in the wrong, literally. I'd say probably 90% of the conversations they had, and infuriating as well, David. So, let's see. So, anything else, Dave, before we ride off?
No, I think that was it. I can't wait for the next episode. I mean, it's going to be over then, but, whereas I'm usually, I don't want it to be over as well. That's kind of a little bit there, but Christ, Chris, I'm looking forward to the episode. I'm looking forward to recording. Then I'm looking forward to a week off.
Now, I love speaking to you, mate, because you're my closest friend, but I fucking do as well. It's just, let's just get back to slagging each other's football teams off, Dave. That's the best way, just for a week, and then we'll be back, won't we? I think it is going to be Love is Blind, but let's see after we've had this little mini break as well. So, honestly, it's been a hell of a slog, mate, and we are at the end. So thank you for sticking with it. It's been great fun.
It has been great fun.
So, guys, if you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media, @cdrealitycast. As always, go over to Facebook, Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. Come and join us over there, guys. So, the second to last roll call of honour, Dave, for this series of MAFS, it is, and a massive thank you to all our Patreons. So, big thanks to Larissa, Helen, Alex, Macy, Nicholas Schmave, Emma, Fiona, Cassie, Megan, Kate, Maggie, Kristen, Zoe, Gillian, Keith, Helen, Brianna, Chloe, Noreen, Joanna, Libby, Katie, Dee, Susan, Hennessy, Lauren, Lucky Lulu Green, and Kate Gustafson. So thank you so much, guys, for all your support. We really appreciate it. And we are there, my friend. We are there.
Awesome. Oh my God. I feel like the guy who's just crawled out the end of the pipe at Shawshank Redemption. MAFS Redemption. But no, Chris, like you say, one more episode to go. So thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our listeners out there. Thanks to all our supporters. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.